Thank you so much. And I will now open the February 25th meeting of the Nevada Senate Judiciary Committee. Would the esteemed secretary please call the roll?
Vice Chair Cannizzaro.
I believe she's on her way. I will ask that you mark her present when she arrives.
Senator Orenshaw.
Present.
Senator Harris.
Present.
Senator Settlemeyer.
Present.
Senator Hansen.
Here.
Senator Pickard.
Here.
Chair Scheibel.
Here. And we have a couple members of our staff with us here today. If you could put them on the record, Mr. Guinan.
Chair Scheibel. This is Patrick Guinan, Committee Policy Analyst, and I believe that I am the only staff member with us today. I think Mr. Anthony has been told to draft some bills, so he will not be joining the meeting in person today, although I imagine he's monitoring.
All right, well, we are glad to have you with us, Mr. Guinan. And we have a little bit of housekeeping to do today. I wanted to let you all know that I have endeavored to publish the agendas for the next 2 weeks. You will see most or all of those going up on Nellis in the next day or so. The housekeeping item that I wanted to address is that we are, moving a lot of different pieces at the same time. Those agendas may change. I want everybody in this committee and everybody who may be watching this committee to know that a change in the agenda is not a reflection of my personal feelings about a bill or about a sponsor. We may have to move something up earlier or later, or take it off entirely for now and put it back on at a future date, but that is simply the Tetris of the legislative schedule and nothing to do with the strength or weakness of any particular bill. So with that, I have, like I said, tried to publish agendas for the next 2 weeks so that you all can plan and people can be prepared to testify. In case you are not familiar yet with our virtual testimony here in the Nevada State Senate, through the legislative website Nellis, you can navigate to any one of our judiciary meetings. There's an option to click on a participate button. When you click on that button, you'll be asked for your name and affiliation, the position in which you wish to speak, and on what item you wish to speak. And when you do that, you will receive information on joining us in order to give that testimony at the appropriate time. Right now, we have a work session on our calendar today. And we also have, as always, public comment. I'm going to take these items out of order and go to public comment first.
Thank you, Chair Scheibel. If you are here to give public comment today, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you are here today to give public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. And Chair, the phone lines are open and working. However, there is no one to give public comment at this time.
All right. In that case, we will go to a brief recess. The committee will be in recess until the call of the chair. All right, the Senate Judiciary Committee will now come back to order. And if the record could please reflect the presence of Vice Chair Majority Leader Cannizzaro, and thank you to the committee for your indulgence while I took care of some other matters that were pending before we could get to our work session. Now that we have those taken care of, I think we have everybody back. It looks like Senator Hansen is labeled as Senator Harris today. So that's a fun new thing for you guys. And
Madam Chair, all due respect, they occasionally confuse us.
I know, it is very easy to do. I just want to make sure that Mr. Senator Settlemyre is also with us.
He was in my office during the break, and so he's heading back to his. He should be there shortly.
Yes, Chair, I'm walking there now.
I see you on your way. That's fine. We only have a few bills to get through on this work session, and I will hand it over to Mr. Guinan now to walk. Well, I'll give Senator Settlemyre a minute to sit down and ask, has everybody been able to access the work session document on Nellis? I see nodding heads. Perfect. Then I would ask that you all open up the work session document and follow along with Mr. Guinan. And those are also available on Nellis to the public for anybody else who would like to follow along. And in case you had not noticed, we do have several of our subject matter experts here from the bills that are on our work session today. So if you have any questions, there will be a time for you to raise those. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Guinan to walk us through the work session.
Thanks, Chair Scheibel, again, Patrick Guinan for the record. We have 4 bills on the work session today. SBs 9, 21, 62, and 71. I'm just going to go through them in numerical order, starting with Senate Bill 9. The committee heard this bill on February 11th. It's sponsored by the committee on behalf of the Lieutenant Governor, and it creates an exemption from licensing requirements for investment advisors to specific types of qualifying private funds as are defined in federal law. The bill sets forth conditions an advisor must meet in order to qualify, and sets forth the advisor's duties and disclosures and reporting requirements, and also provides a means whereby an advisor can become compliant with the law if they lose their licensure within 90 days of becoming ineligible. I won't go through the full summary, Chair Scheibel. There are no amendments to the bill. I believe we have a representative from the Lieutenant Governor's office on hand if there are any questions, and that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Guinan. Do any of the members of the committee have questions on this bill? I see a question from Senator Settlemyre. Go ahead.
Actually, Madam Chair, I was seeing if you're ready for a motion to do pass without an amendment. Just do pass.
I sure am. I will accept a motion from Senator Settlemyre. Do pass.
I'll second
Is there a
it.
second? And I will accept a second from Senator Pickard. Any discussion on the motion? I don't see any discussion. So we will do a roll call vote for the clarity of the record. And I'm going to ask the secretary to please call that roll call vote now.
Vice Chair Cannizzaro,
Yes.
Senator Orenshaw,
Yes.
Senator Harris,
Yes.
Senator Settlemyre,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Senator Pickard,
Yes.
Chair Scheibel.
Yes. And I believe that was unanimous and the motion passes.
Still on mute, Chair Scheibel.
Oh, thank you, Senator Harris. Did you guys catch the part where I said that we voted unanimously to pass the bill? All right. And now we will move on to Senate Bill number 21, or the next part of our work session document.
Thanks, Chair Scheibel. Patrick Guinan, for the record again. I was told I was a little quiet, so if I'm yelling at you now, please just let me know and I'll try to add back down. But we're now on Senate Bill 21, which is another bill sponsored by this committee on behalf of the Division of Child and Family Services, which we heard on February 3rd. This bill revises requirements relating to background investigations conducted by certain institutions, agencies, and facilities that serve children. Essentially, this bill revises and standardizes specified crimes for which any of these institutions or agencies that serve children are required or authorized to deny an application for employment across all three of those entities. So the agencies are required to conduct background checks, including fingerprint reviews to determine whether an employee or a potential employee has charges pending against him or her or has been convicted of the specified crimes that are listed here. And I would just add that the application can be denied or the employment terminated respectively if they have been convicted of such a crime. If a charge is pending, the applicant or the employment may be denied or terminated respectively. And applicants are allowed the opportunity to correct information that they believe is incorrect in their record. The committee will remember that during the discussion on the bill, there was an amendment discussed that was being put together by the Division of Child and Family Services in consultation with several stakeholders. That amendment has been submitted and is attached on the following pages, and I will just summarize it briefly here. It removes prostitution as an exclusionary crime for applicants and employees. For applicants, it requires agencies to adopt a weighing test whereby they'll consider certain factors in determining whether to waive an exclusionary criminal conviction. An agency may not waive the exclusionary conviction without applying the test, and an agency decision is not appealable. A review of the relevant data must be conducted every 2 years to determine the efficacy and identify implicit bias. And regarding employees, the bill defines criminal charges pending as from the time an arrest has been made until a determination of guilt or innocence at trial or by plea. The term does not include if the prosecuting agency determines to decline charges or to proceed on charges that are not exclusionary pursuant to this act. The bill's effective date has been moved out to January 1 of 2022 to allow for research and the adoption of the objective weighing test that I just described above. And I would also note this bill requires a 2/3 majority vote, but I want to make it clear for the committee that does not involve the committee. That's a 2/3 majority vote for any final action to be taken on the floor of the Senate on this bill. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that this vote requirement does not apply to this committee. And that's all I have, Madam Chair, or Chair Scheibel. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Guinan. Senator Pickard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a quick question as to the exclusionary, the removal of the exclusionary crime. Can someone explain on a practical basis what that means? What the removal means? What's the result of the removal?
Chair Scheibel, this is Patrick. I believe we have Ross Armstrong from DCFS available to answer questions if you prefer.
Yeah, Ross Armstrong for the record, Administrator, Division of Child and Family Services. What that means is that would be a crime where if it popped up on the background check, the agency would not need to do the weighing test in order to waive it. In talking with many of the stakeholders, they were concerned based on how the charge of prostitution is used, that was not really relevant to the agencies that we were talking about, and that the related crimes that you would see in trafficking or pimping still remain, but that actual prostitution charge, which we understand the complexities of that charge in terms of those who are convicted of it, is removed from the list that would automatically exclude an applicant from the process.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Before I ask for other questions from members of the committee, I should have told you at the very beginning that Mr. Anthony, our legal counsel, is also on standby. If we really, really need him, we can take him away from his drafting. With that being said, are there any other questions on this bill? Or a motion?
I'll move to do pass, Chair Scheibel.
And is that a motion to pass or amend and do pass?
It's a motion to amend and do pass.
All right, we have a motion to amend and do pass from Senator Harris, and it looks like a second from Senator Orenshaw. a second from Senator Orenshaw. Any discussion on the motion? All right, I am not seeing any discussion on this motion, so I will ask that the secretary take another roll call vote on the motion to amend and do pass Senate Bill 21.
Chair Canizaro,
Yes.
Senator Orenshaw,
Yes.
Senator Harris,
Yes.
Senator Settlemyre, Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Sorry, I was a yes. This is Settlemyre. Sorry about that. I didn't mute quick enough.
Senator Settlemyre,
Yes.
Senator Pickard,
Yes.
Chair Scheibel.
Yes. All right, and with a unanimous vote, we have voted to amend and do pass Senate Bill 21. We also need to assign the floor statement on this. Do we have any volunteers? Not seeing any volunteers. Oh, Senator Orenshaw, thank you so much. And we will move on now to Senate Bill 62.
Thanks, Chair Scheibel. Patrick Guinan again for the record. We're now on Senate Bill 62. If you're following along in your work session document, that would be page 6. Senate Bill 62 is another committee-sponsored bill on behalf of the Attorney General. It revises provisions relating to solicitation of contributions. We heard it on February 17th. This bill expands the types of organizations that must register with the Secretary of State as charitable organizations to include entities that solicit donations but that are not exempt from federal income taxes. There's a list of who's included there that I won't go through. The committee's well aware and familiarized with this bill. It also makes some technical changes to reflect that these entities may not be required to register as tax-exempt organizations with the IRS or be organized as entities that file with the Secretary of State. Similarly, the bill revises information required to be disclosed in solicitations made by these organizations. It makes them subject to laws governing deceptive trade practices. There are no amendments to the bill, Chair Scheibel, and that's all I can say.
Thank you very much. It looks like we have either a question or a motion from Senator Pickard.
Yes, Madam Chair. My question regards Section 2. If you'll recall, I had asked a question about the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong. It is Section It had to do with the language regarding contributions. They're patriotic, which would involve PACs, and we're changing the language to require ultimately, or we're changing contribution to mean those contributions made in response to a solicitation. And my understanding is that with this change in the language, it means that if there was not a direct solicitation made, then it's not considered a contribution. And I think that flies in the face of the intent of the bill. So Ms. Adair suggested they would consider an amendment, but since that wasn't put forward, I think I'm going to have to be a no on this bill without that response. Otherwise, it obviates the need for the distinction between contribution. If we're limiting contribution to just those that are made in response to a solicitation, I think that undermines the bill.
Okay, Senator Pickard, so there is no amendment on this bill in front of us today.
Right.
Is there a question that you would like one of the sponsors of the bill to answer in order to inform your vote, or?
Well, I'm sorry, the question was there and intent to bring an amendment before we have a floor vote.
Okay. If the sponsors would like to answer that question, I will give them that opportunity. But of course, it's not, it can still be amended on the floor whether we pass it, or regardless of what you say here today.
Sure.
Thank you, Chair. This is Jessica Adair with the Attorney General's Office for the record. Should the Senator wish to amend the bill, to better reflect that, we would not oppose that amendment whatsoever. We did not prepare an amendment to that effect, but certainly would not be in opposition.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Adair. I also saw Senator Hansen's hand go up. Please go ahead, Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Chair. Actually, I'll wait till they have the discussion on the amendment. The only question I had in addition to that one, this was the Secretary of State. I don't think they testified on the bill. Are they? Does anyone know if they're okay with this? It does add a little bit of additional work to them. I'm wondering if anybody heard from the Secretary of State's office.
Jessica Adair, for the record, the Secretary of State did provide testimony that on this bill and stated that it would not cause a fiscal impact to their office.
Oh, my apologies. I don't recall that. So thank you, Madam Chair. That answers my question.
Great. I saw Senator Settlemyre also raise his hand. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And again, that discussion with the Secretary of State's office, they did not oppose the bill. They were neutral and indicated that there was no fiscal note, which I found fascinating because they're taking on additional work with no fiscal note. So to me, that, in my opinion, if you're willing to take on more work, you obviously are in approval of it. Otherwise, you would have given it the appropriate fiscal note. That being said, though, there was discussion about that amendment, trying to clear it. And Chair, per the rules, we're not allowed to amend it on the floor without the Chair's approval or the majority leaders. And I was wondering if you would be acceptable of trying to amend due pass with you providing the amendment now, or the committee providing the amendment now, so we didn't have to try to create a problem on the floor. I was just wondering your thoughts, Chair.
Chair Scheibel, I'm sorry, I actually have a question that I think would relate to Senator Settlemyre, and maybe this is something that we would maybe want to pass on today so we can actually get an answer to the amendments. The way that I was looking at was this wouldn't necessarily obviate the actual rules and regulations regarding PAC contributions, because those exist in a separate NRS. So while this might also talk about contributions in the form of solicitations for PACs, they're also still subject to all the same NRS requirements and filing requirements for PACs as those separately exist. And I guess if that's the case, I don't know that an amendment might be necessary unless folks on the committee would feel that is the case. But maybe if we can get an answer to that, I don't think there's any opposition for myself if there's an amendment needed to clarify that. But I don't think this would undo the other pieces of NRS that require for PACs to meet certain reporting requirements and filing requirements and other establishment requirements for PACs. This just would also note that anything that's done in solicitation would be part of that as well.
Chair,
So,
if I may respond to Vice Chair. Yes, you are correct. That is a correct reading, Vice Chair Cannizzaro. Regardless of the whether or not an entity holding itself out as a charitable organization solicited contributions, they would still be required to register with the Secretary of State under Section 1 of the bill. Section 2 then further defines contribution in response to a solicitation. I find it difficult to think of a situation in which a contribution would have been made absent a solicitation, particularly when we're discussing these scam organizations that are constantly soliciting contributions to that organization. However, I do think that Senator Pickard's point is well taken. And if the committee wishes to amend the bill to remove that in response to the solicitation language, we would not be in opposition. But I think the Vice Chair's point is correct, that it doesn't obviate the intent of the bill, or I think for all practical purposes, the purpose of the bill.
Thank you so much, Ms. Adair. And I think that this has been a healthy discussion. At this point in time, I will commit to you guys that if we want to pass this bill today without any amendments, I will remain open to an amendment if it is indeed necessary in order to effectuate the purpose of the bill. At this time, I do not believe it is, but of course, I could learn new information that would change that impression. So at this point in time, I will accept a motion to pass Senate Bill 62. Go ahead, Senator Orangel.
So moved, Chair.
All right.
And I will second.
And so Senator Orangel has moved to do pass SB 62. Senator Harris has seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Senator Pickard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I said before, I agree that the intent is was made clear in the original presentation. I do believe that there are enough, shall we say, clever people in their interpretations that they would read this as a modification to the definition of contribution. So I'll be a no today and would request that the verbiage in response to a solicitation be stricken. And if so, then I would probably be in support on the floor. Thank you.
All right, Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I honestly, in that one, I don't know if the amendment's necessary or not, but I'm going to support it out of committee. But I think that's something that there should be a little discussion on. I mean, it's a good bill. And if in fact, as Senator Pickard points out, some clever lawyers figure out a way to kind of make that mean something that we can, it can't hurt anything to add that amendment. But I will support the measure to get out of committee. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. And I believe that concludes our discussion. I will ask the esteemed secretary to take a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Cannizzaro. Senator Orangel.
Yes.
Senator Harris.
Yes.
Senator Settlemyre.
No for now.
Senator Hansen.
Yes.
Senator Pickard.
No.
Senator Scheibel.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cannizzaro.
All right.
Yes.
All right. That is everybody. And having attained a majority, the motion to pass SB 62 does pass. And we will need to assign the floor statement. Are there any volunteers? Not seeing any volunteers. It will be assigned to, oh, Vice Chair Cannizzaro will get the floor statement for SB 62. And that takes us to the last bill on our work session for today, Senate Bill 71. If you'd please take it away, Mr. Guinan.
Thanks, Chair Scheibel. Again, Patrick Guinan for the record. Senate Bill 71 is yet another bill sponsored by this committee on behalf of the State Treasurer. It was heard in our committee on February 3rd. The bill revises various portions of the Uniform Unclaimed Property Act, and I won't go through this bullet list. I think, again, the committee's familiar with the bill. It addresses virtual currency and excludes some currencies. It does quite a few other things, changes some notification deadlines and things of that nature, increases the percentage that an air finder may charge on certain forms of property. In response to suggestions from members of the committee and working with members of the committee, State Treasurer has proposed an amendment for the bill. It's attached on the following pages of the work session document. I would just note that it makes no revisions to the original bill text as drafted, except by adding new language in various sections. And that is in order to incorporate portions of the revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act, and very quickly, those are as follows. The amendment revises and adds new language in NRS 120A.500 concerning activity that indicates an owner's interest in property. It adds new language in 120A.530 concerning when certain types of property are subject to the custody of this state. It adds new language in 120A.560 regarding what information must be contained in a report of abandoned property. And it revises and adds new language in 128.590 concerning when a property holder who has paid money or delivered property to the administrator may file a claim for reimbursement. And I believe we have representatives available to answer questions if there are any, Madam Chair, and that's all I have.
All right, thank you. It looks like we have a comment or a question from Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to thank Treasurer Conine, the Deputy Treasurer, and the Administrator of Unclaimed Property. His staff have been really great to work with. We've been working on trying to bring the Nevada statute closer to the revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act, the acronym RUUPA. And this is one of those bills where uniformity across state lines really is to everyone's benefit when there is unclaimed property. So I just want to thank the Treasurer for working with the Uniform Law Commission on this amendment.
And is that your motion to amend and do pass?
Yes, if you're open to a motion, Chair, I would move amend and do pass.
All right, thank you. Is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
There is a second from Senator Pickard. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any discussion, we will go to a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Cannizzaro,
Yes.
Senator Orenshaw,
Yes.
Senator Harris,
Yes.
Senator Settlemeyer,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Senator Pickard,
Yes.
Chair Scheibel.
Yes. And having received a unanimous vote, the motion to amend and do pass SB 71 passes. And is there a volunteer to take the floor statement? I see two volunteers. I am going to assign this one to Senator Orenshaw because we still have to go back and assign the floor statement for SB 9. Senator Harris, would you like to take that one? Thank you so much. And with that, I believe we have concluded our work session. We have passed all of our bills, 2 of them with amendments, and all of them have been assigned a floor statement. I know we did public comment earlier today, but now that the public's had a chance to watch us do our work, I will open it up once again for public comment.
Thank you, Chair Scheibel. If you are here to give public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you are currently here to give public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. And Chair, while the phone lines are open and working, there is still no one to give public comment at this time.
All right, well, thank you for your help. In that case, we are finished with today's meeting. We will be meeting again on Monday at 1 p.m. and we are adjourned.